Mr. Pisacano here to walk you through our demo in planning for our Super Defender. Before we get started with the demo, I just want to remind everyone before you start this drawing, you must complete the questionnaire around your Super Defender design that was on the last slide, or the slide before that, rather. Again, it's just kind of basic information to kind of help you plan. I actually planned myself for my Defender so that I could have something to go over with you as I'm modeling this drawing. So the way we're going to start this, I'm going to first run through my planning page. You can't see it because I'm recording my screen right now. I answered the questions on a separate sheet of paper, so I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of what my plan and idea is around the theme of my Super Defender. And then once we go through that, I'm going to model what you need to do in the draw it slide for your own character. Okay, so let's begin. Name of my Super Defender, I'm going with right now Forest Commander. That can change, but that's kind of where I'm thinking to start. I've been thinking a lot about things that are happening out on the West Coast in terms of all the fires that they're having right now. So I wanted to do have my social justice theme something around protecting the planet and global warming, so on and so forth. Okay, so name as it stands right now, Forest Commander. His birthplace, I'm gonna make it be the Poconos in Pennsylvania. I actually spend a lot of my weekends up there with my parents. They live up there, and it's a very peaceful place. It's the forest. There's lots of hiking trails, things like that. And then the age of the Forest Commander, I chose 4.543 billion years old. That's actually the age of the planet Earth, so I thought that would be a good connection to make for the age. So my Forest Commander is as old as the Earth. Okay, and then for the four following questions, it had asked what the social justice theme was going to be for your own work. So, like I said, it's environmental protection, protection against forest fires, global warming. Two, the reason why this is important to the Forest Commander. Since the Industrial Revolution, man has polluted the earth. The Forest Commander is the defender that protects the Earth from global warming. So that's the reason why the global protector is here. Third question was, what was his weakness? So again, in thinking around my theme, I said that his weakness was pollution, destruction of nature, overcoming global warming, and also getting humans to understand that they're harming the planet and they need to take charge to change things. And then lastly were the questions around his costume. So I was thinking more so in like color. So I think his costume will have a lot of like earth tones, colors that you would find in nature. I think as his logo, I'm going to make it a pine tree. Pine trees are my personal favorite tree. And that he uses, like we said, our defenders aren't going to have any sort of weapons or things, but they can have kind of like magical powers, things of that nature. He will be able to use the forces of nature, like, you know, the weather, wind, fire, water, you know, to help fight against global warming. Okay, so that's just like a brief kind of breakdown, excuse me, of my rough plan. Okay, so moving ahead, let's get drawing here. So you see my cursor. So we're gonna start this the same way that we had started our gesture drawing. Okay, so you're gonna come down to the picture search in the toolbar, and you're going to pick your gesture, okay? So for my Forest Commander first draft here, I think I want to have him, see if I could, someone flying. So let's say person flying. Let's see what we get. All right, so we got a couple pictures here that might work. Uh, kind of like this one. This one's kind of interesting. All right, so I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna click save. All right, and obviously it pops up as you know in your screen. Again, you want to have the picture not too big but not too small, so you have some area here to draw your own. I'm gonna stretch the image just a little bit out of frame. That kind of work. Oops. Let me see. That kind of works for me, I think. It's giving me being a little tricky. All right, there we go. Okay, so I have my picture, and then we're gonna come down to the drawing tool again. I think just to start, make sure that your point is rather small. Just kind of helps with your planning, and then again, choose a color. We're gonna draw on top of the picture like we did last week. Quickly make a second, and then start adding in our details. Okay, so let's begin. So I'm gonna choose red for this one, and as I did the last time, I'm going to start to trace around the image. Now his head's kind of tilted here, which makes it a little tough, and then kind of see like his neck. Neck coming down. I'm actually going to make a quick edit on his neck. His neck, yeah, it's right about there. So we see the neck is also kind of leading in to the spine. Remember, our skulls are connected to our neck and spine. So we want to try and find the center part of this character's body here. Oops, a little tricky. So we have most of his spine down to his waist, right about there. Again, making a quick edit. There you go, tightening it up, looking good. Moving back to the drawing tool. Okay, so we have his head kind of tilted back a bit. We have his neck that's kind of stretched back. And then his spine is pretty straight. There's not a whole lot of movement, right? Because we can tell by his shoulders and his torso, it's not bent to either side. So it's rather straight. Just straighten it out a little bit there. All right, so let's move in. We're just going to go straight across from shoulder to shoulder. Just put a little notch so I know that's the end of the shoulder. And then also something different, since we're in a different pose, it's also a good idea to go ahead and add the hips in. Okay, as such. So you got your shoulders, hips. We're going to move from his left shoulder down to his elbow, and then his elbow to his wrist, to the wristband. And then I'm just going to have kind of like an open part to represent his hand. Same thing on the other side. This arm looks like it's slightly further away from us, but in any case, just go ahead. It's kind of like connecting the dots, but we're putting a little bit more kind of gesture in our lines. Moving down to his right hip, to his knee, and then his knee to his ankle. Looking good. And then we got something to kind of throw in there for the foot. I'm also just going to add in, can't see it because he's wearing jeans, but his calf muscle would be right there. And then we have this other knee that is in the background a little bit, right? We have this, his right leg blocking it. So we're just going to bring it down. That'll be his knee. And then we can kind of slightly, I think, see a little bit of his lower shin, and then a tiny portion of his foot. Okay, so again, just kind of building on it like we have been. Curving those lines, putting in some of that musculature, as you see. Again, I'm kind of building on that simple stick figure. Also, might be a good time, if you have a character that you want to draw big muscles on and make them look ripped, you could do that now. It's a good way to kind of plan. So I'm making his biceps a little bit bigger, make a nice forearm there. We have his hand. Again, don't worry too much about the details in the hand. We'll move on to that later. All right, so we have pretty much our first planning template done. Again, do this extra step. It'll help you get your drawings accurate and in the gesture that you want. Now I'm going to switch colors, and I'm going to do the same thing. Draw it the same size, same as we did last. So I'm kind of just like lining things up, trying to draw it as I see it. So we got his head, And then we got his neck. Like we said, his spine's pretty straight, so I won't need much curve on that. His shoulders are pretty straight as well. One's not leaning to the other side. That looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and move from his shoulder to his elbow, slightly bent. Elbow to his wrist. I'm going to just kind of shape the skull a little bit better here. Make an edit on that later. And then just kind of something to quickly represent the hand. Moving over to the right hand side. Okay, slightly bent arm, bent at more so at the elbow to the wrist as such. And then we have something for his hand. Again, just a simple line. All right, so we're gonna come down now to his waist. I'm gonna stretch his spine a little bit. It looked a little short, and then I'm gonna go ahead and draw in that line. His waist is pretty straight, even though his legs are bent. There's not a whole lot of movement in there. Moving from his hip down his right leg to his knee. I'm gonna put a slightly curved line there, and then his calf muscle into his ankle, and then his foot is slightly pointed. All right, so again, basic. And then lastly, his neck, his left leg, slight bend. Remember what we said, his knee's kind of bent here, so I'm gonna actually just bend his knee and just kind of give him the musculature as we see it. And then we can kind of see that foreshortening happening in his shin and his foot that's a bit tucked behind. I'm gonna go ahead and build on the musculature now. I got the calf muscle here. Gonna put the shin in. Make that foot just a smidge a little bigger. Looks better. All right, develop that torso. Okay, your shoulders are typically wider than your hips, so you can kind of see that slight bend. I'm gonna add in some musculature here. Nice big strong arms. Forearms. Got that bicep happening on the other side. Oops, made a little mistake, no problem. Just go back in, quickly get rid of it. All right, and back to the drawing tool. And just kind of finishing it out. I'm not worried too much just yet about the hand. If it's easier for you to just kind of draw like a mitten, that'll work as well. Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry. All right, there we go. And then I'm just gonna also, again, I want to be sure that I have that space between my neck. His head is a little weird right now. It looks a little bit small. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. All right, so we have your preliminary gesture drawing. Now, simply what we're going to do is, with the questions that you've answered, we're going to start to add in the details, okay, from the questions we answered, right? And I think it's good to start maybe first with like the costume. That's kind of like the fun part of this. So what you want to do, you're going to primarily be using the drawing tool. And the highlighter tool, the colors don't come out as dark and opaque. So I suggest really sticking with this one. And then the most important trick to this is controlling the width of your line. Okay, so like large areas that you want to just get like major color in, I would use a larger brush, maybe something like around here, depending on the size of your drawing. And then any of the fine detail stuff you're obviously going to make with the very thin marker. Okay, so let's begin. So I think right about here is a good place to start. I'm gonna start first with the major areas of color before I start with the details. And I said I was gonna use kind of earth tones, so I'm thinking like blue, green, the different browns and beiges, maybe a little yellow, a little dark brown might be good as well. I like this earthy tone right here, this earthy kind of brown. It reminds me of soil, rich soil. So I picked the brown color, and then I'm just going to slightly adjust so I have a nice wide drawing tool. And I'm just going to kind of simply start to go over some of these parts. Now again, I know it's a little tricky kind of coloring in neatly, but again, just try your best. And listen, I want to make this super clear to everyone who's working on these digital drawings. Craftsmanship works. I am looking for specific things, okay? And if I mention something that you should include, like I did for the emoji collages. I had asked for both collaged images as well as drawings. Make sure that you are adding those things, okay? Because that will affect your score. All right, so I got his torso and arms done. I'm digging that color. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the lighter beige, and I'm gonna lower the drawing tool with just a smidge. I'm gonna start some simple design. So I'm gonna think about his insignia or the logo that will represent him. Like I said, I'm making his a pine tree. A pine tree is just my kind of favorite tree. I love the way that they smell. Remind me of Christmas, things like that, and the holidays. So I'm just kind of quickly, again, I'm not spending all this time getting all these little bits. I think just a general sense it will work fine. I'm going to switch back again, sticking with the major areas of color to then add details on. All right, so I want him just to have like a straight like black kind of like pants on, kind of like, I don't know, like yoga pants or pants that you would find like people who like work out in, like something that he could like move around in. He's in this kind of flying action pose, so I think that kind of works well. And quickly just kind of going around here. I'm going to give him black gloves as well. I think that'll look cool. All right, and how about we do let's do some green shoes. So again, lowering the width a little bit. I'm going to give him like green boots. Kind of neat, kind of like UGG looking boots maybe, I don't know. Just kind of going with it, seeing what works. I like the color scheme. I think I'm really staying true to the idea of the earth tones. And I definitely also want to include blue because that's just my personal color. And I think I want to use this light sky blue. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do for his face yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of color it in. So again, the details of the face will come later, but I just want to get a general sense of what we got. And then actually I'm going to also use the dark blue, and I'm just going to kind of go around, give him like an outline on his. All right, so pretty simple. Kind of came together quickly. I'm really happy about that. Let's start with some of the details now, the character. So we're talking about environmental protection. We're talking about his costume. Let's start with the costume first. So I'm going to, again, for the smaller detail, you definitely want to lower the width of the drawing tool. All right, and for the insignia, like I told you, I wanted to do a pine tree. All right, so I got my pine tree. I'm going super slow. Again, I know it's tricky, but challenge yourself. And if you don't like if you make a mistake like I just did, no problem. Just get rid of it. Change the colors back in a second. It's no big deal. Takes a few extra steps. All right, I actually want to see your work. All right, and if you make little mistakes, it's okay. All right, it helps me kind of figure out where you guys need the most help and how I can teach you better, right? So look, just kind of quickly going in there, redoing it. No big deal. I actually kind of like that little white part inside of the beige oval, so I think I'm actually going to keep that. Kind of like the way, kind of dig the way that works. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tighten up the sides. And it's a simple fix. Again, doesn't need to be perfect, but show that you're trying. All right, moving back in, let's get this pine tree done. So again, lowering my drawing tool. And I'm just going to kind of quickly draw in pine tree. Like that. And I'm not going to spend like a ton of time trying to draw or color in this part, but I like kind of the scratchy kind of nature of the line here. I think it kind of works well for a pine tree. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that there. There we go. Moving on. So we're thinking about forest fires, global warming, environmental sorts of social justice ideas. So, how should I do this? Let me think. Got my pine tree, got my overall costume. Maybe I should go ahead and add in. You know what? Let's use the picture tool again. Let's see what we get if we type in pollution. Let's see what kind of pictures come up. Oh, perfect. This actually might work very well for us. So what if I were to use, I don't like that picture. I think this picture might work better. All right, so this actually is kind of cool. We can go ahead and just like add in other pictures. Now, if you need to add in your picture over your original drawing, that's fine, no problem. And I'm just gonna go ahead and stretch it a little too much there. I don't want it blocking my character. So yeah, we'll leave it right there. Let me see, can I get rid of that? No, I can't get rid of this. Oh, it actually, if I click on if you need to go over the picture that you started with for your gesture drawing, easy way to do it is just to click on the picture. So I think it's a double tap. But if you highlight that picture and then just come down to the trash can, you get rid of it. So that actually might work, okay? I'm actually going to look for a second picture. Okay, and then obviously, let me look for a second picture first. So I got, let's see, pollution again. And, all right, this is kind of cool. So I have something that kind of shows the sky, and then I think I'm going to click this one. Show some pollution on the ground. Oh, yeah, plastic. Oh, my God. Gross. A lot of pollution in this picture for sure. All right. And I'm just going to stretch it just a little bit and reposition it. All right. Okay, so clicking back to the drawing tool. Oh, we have our drawing. In any case, if your drawing stays, no big deal. You could always just erase it. Get the big eraser, and boom, he's gone. Lickety split. Look, it's super easy. It just takes a little time to kind of figure out the toolbar. And even though the toolbar is limited, you could still get a lot done. So, I mean, we have like a full-on picture here. Like, we have something, this picture illustration collage. I'm getting excited just working on this. So, all right, so we got our character here. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to get some details in his face. I'm not really sure. I kind of want to make him like wearing a mask because I kind of want like his identity hidden. So I have the mask. I'm going to just make the drawing tool a little bit larger just so I can then kind of add some details. So I got this masked environmental protector. Kind of reminds me of the mask that we're all wearing now, actually. Look at that connection I'm making. Interesting. And I'm also going to put like goggles on him because, again, I want him to be kind of mysterious. He's got these black goggles on. He's kind of got like a face mask on to protect him from the pollution and things in the environment. And then lastly, you know what? I think this guy needs a cape. For some reason, something's telling me he needs a cape, but I'm gonna do it in dark brown. So I'm just gonna kind of have it kind of on the side here. Go ahead and make my drawing instrument a little larger so I can cover more surface area. And I got something. I personally think I got something pretty cool going here. All right. You know what? I'm not even going to color it up. I'm just going to kind of leave those lines in the cape. I kind of like the way that looks. Okay, so let's talk about some of his powers and kind of wrapping up our drawing here. All right. So I had said that he doesn't have any weapons. We're not allowed to have any weapons for our heroes. But essentially, okay, he can use the forces of nature, wind, water, fire, earth, okay, to kind of help defend against some of the pollution we're seeing here from the factories and then all this disgusting plastic bottles that are left on the shore. All right, so if he's trying to combat smoke and pollution, I think it would be probably smart to have him use the power of the wind, okay, to kind of push away or erase some of those pollution clouds coming out of the smokestack. So let me see here. So I'm going to use white, and I'm just going to just do some crazy lines. Sorry about that. Kind of like he's using the force of the wind is kind of coming out of his hand. I'm going to go ahead and switch the width of my drawing. I think it's a little thick. I'm going to get it a little thinner. Kind of get in some more of those lines. You see the wind's rolling there, so it's trying to get rid of that pollution. Kind of swirly lines. You know, I think that works pretty well. Nice fresh air kind of coming out of his hand here. All right. So then I'm going to use his other hand. Now, how could we get rid of all this plastic? What power could he use? This is a tough one, right? Because he could, blow away or breathe more fresh air into the atmosphere for, following a smokestack or smoke coming out of a stack. But how do you make plastic disappear? Plastic can, exist for hundreds of years, they say. A plastic bottle takes forever to decompose naturally in the environment. So how do you do it? What if he had the power to turn all of these plastic bottles into saplings or baby trees? I like that. So how am I going to do that? Let's go back to the drawing tool. I like this orange color. So I'm going to use this orange color coming out. Let me just get rid of that. That looks good. All right. And then I'm just going to kind of almost like he has rays coming out. Right. So he's focusing here with these rays on the pollution. Kind of see him just drawing over what I have. Right. Put one more line in here. All right, so he's got these rays coming out of his hand. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is with my drawing tool, making it a little bit wider, I'm going to just plant a bunch of saplings in and around these bottles to show that transformation. So I'm just going to put in just some simple, and again, look, I'm just using simple lines here. Okay, nothing fancy. Just keep it simple. All right, so I got the start of my sapling, lower my drawing instrument just a little bit, put a little greenery on this. All right, so there you go. I mean, this again, I'm just kind of moving with the drawing. I'm thinking, I'm referring back to my notes. All right, and we got essentially, once you have this done, okay, with your gesture drawing and the other images that you want to collage into it, like I have, I'm going to be looking for these things. Okay, I'm going to be looking for a character based on your questionnaire. I'm also going to be looking for you to collage through the picture finder that you see here, images that might help build out your picture. I use these pictures of pollution to show what my defender is against. And then I also used the drawing tool, okay, to kind of work and draw into some of these images the powers that my defender have. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful. I know the video was a little bit long, but I hope it was a great walkthrough. As always, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, Matthew.Pisacano at BreaCollegePrep.org. I hope you guys have fun, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with. Talk soon. Bye.